Okay, today's the big day. Today I am starting to prep the garlic for planting, which will be tomorrow. I just did a video on me reforming the beds, which was about 95% successful, so I'll take it. These garlic have been in the refrigerator for 8 weeks now. This is elephant garlic, and it's TBD on whether or not we actually have to chill the garlic in order for them to form their bulbs properly. So we're doing tests this year. We're going to have 2 rows, which is going to be about 900 garlic that have been chilled for 8 weeks. We're going to have 1 row, which is about 450 garlic, which will be chilled for 6 weeks. We're going to have 2 rows which is about 900 garlic, which we're going to have chilled for 7 weeks. And we're going to have 1 row plus a little bit extra, because I don't know exactly how many we have, which will be between 450 to maybe 500 garlic, that are not going to be chilled at all. And the reason this is all the garlic that's right here. So these have been sitting in my office and have not been chilled at all. This is green garlic. Green garlic is like similar to like green onions, so those aren't going to produce actual bulbs. So it doesn't matter if those get chilled or not. So they're sitting in here too. So this is all the garlic that has not been chilled at all. And then the rest of the garlic has all been chilled between, when it gets planted, 6 to 8 weeks. Now all of this is elephant garlic, and the internet was completely inconsistent on whether or not you had to actually chill elephant garlic, because elephant garlic is not technically a garlic, it's technically a leek, even though it looks and it acts like a garlic. So that's why we're doing the test this year, to see if we actually do need to chill it in the refrigerator. We live in Horry County, South Carolina, and we do not get, our winters are very mild, to say the least. We had 6 inches of snow this year. It's the first time we've had this amount of snow, I think, since the late 80s. And so everything just shut down while we had the snow. And the reason why we had that amount of garlic that was actually in refrigerators is because this entire refrigerator here was slammed full of garlic. And then in order to finish a row, I needed to put some in our main refrigerator, which is over there. So we have garlic that's in there too. But now that we have these out, now I can take that garlic that's in there and put that in the other refrigerator, but I'll do that off camera. So what I'm getting ready to do now is I need to open these up, and I need to get all of the garlic cloves that are not rounds. Like this is a round here, which means this is a single clove right now. It is not busted up into multiple cloves. Unfortunately, most of our garlic this year was like that. And so let me see if I can find one. Okay, so I took that bag, which is right there, and here's all the rounds here, and then here's our cloves that was in that same bag. And so I have left them intact, and so I will split them apart and put them over in here. Now what we're going to be doing is, this is a 2-part system, and we have a chemical called Sanidate, and it is a hydrogen peroxide based sanitizing solution, where, you know, bleach, of course, is a bleach solution. Sanidate is an OMRI, or I think it's OMRI listed approved sanitizer. So it can be used in organic situations. We did not want to use bleach at all, mainly because we are on well and septic, and we don't have any way to deal with chemicals here. So we did not want to have something that was going to harm if it got into the ground system here, because we had no way to efficiently deal with chemicals here. So the Sanitate, the good thing with the Sanitate is that you can, once it gets dried or once it gets once it gets exposed to pure sunlight, like that right there, then it will naturally dissipate on its own. And since it's a hydrogen peroxide base, not a bleach base, then it's a lot better for the environment. So we can accidentally spill a little bit of it and not worry about it leaching into the ground, because it'll just, over time, it'll just neutralize itself. So, oh, and I forgot to mention that each one of these big bags is approximately 100 cloves or bulbs, one of the two, and then that small one there is 50. And so what I was wanting to do was fit 150 into the bucket at a time, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that. Mainly because this clove here, or this bulb here, this represents 6 cloves. So there's a mass right there, a volume, where this right here represents 1. So because we have so many rounds right now, it's just getting really wonky, our volume. So let me break these apart, come back, and then we'll get to the next step. Oh, and before I do that, let's visually see what the volume of the bucket is right now. Okay, I think that's about the same angle. All the cloves are in here. That's about 25 cloves, and you can see how that's virtually, it didn't make a dent into the overall amount that was in for volume. So the reason why I'm doing this is, what I want to do is I want to add water into this to know how much water I'm putting into this, so then I can put the correct amount of Sanidate in to that water solution. Because the Sanidate is extremely highly concentrated, and if I remember right, I use like 0.2 ounces per gallon or something, so it's a ridiculously small amount of Sanidate is actually going to go into this. So I need to figure out how much actual water I'm putting into here. So let me start doing that now. Okay, that is 3 gallons of water, and I put in the 50 one in there, so there's actually 150. The 50 ones were actually on the door of the refrigerator, so I used bulbs with cloves on them, and I used small rounds, like you can see some small rounds in there, so the volume would be less, because if I used the regular sized rounds, they were too big and they were kind of like hanging over the door shelf, so I just used smaller ones. So anyway, this is 3 gallons of water, and so now I need to go out, and 0.2 times 3 is about 0.6 of an ounce of Sanidate to put in here. So what I'm going to do is, while I go out, I'm going to lift this up, drain it out of here, and then I'll stick that over here while I actually put the Sanidate in, because I want to mix the Sanidate before I actually put it in there. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so there's the garlic over there, there's the water over there. I know the water looks kind of nasty because I had the garlic in it, but as soon as I put the Sanidate in there, it'll be fine. So let's go out and actually get the Sanidate. Alright, of course the Sanidate is light sensitive, and of course there's not a cloud in the sky right now. But where we have the Sanidate is in the shed over here, which the shed, obviously, except when I open the doors, completely dark in there with just a little bit of ambient light, so we should be good. Alright, here's the Sanidate right here. I forget how Andrea got this. I'm sure she'll complain at me. But I can't remember if we ordered it or if she had to order it from a local company and then pick it up. But if I remember right, this is like 2.5 gallons. And this is pure concentrate right here. And so we keep it in the shed because, like I said, other than right now, because I have the door open, it's actually pretty dark in here. So let me get the 0.6 ounces and then we'll come back. All right, there it is. You know, it's not really that much considering it's going into 3 gallons. And yes, we keep this up like this, so just in case there was ever a leak or anything, then that is up. So the only time I ever actually put it down is when I use it. So there's the Sanidate itself. And yes, if you know what hydrogen peroxide smells like, this is like 100 times stronger than that. It's probably a lot more. So what I'm going to do to keep it out of the sun is I brought a little towel with me. And so that's how I will keep it out of the sun. And unfortunately, I can't video that because I can't do all that and video at the same time. But that'll be fine. Everybody can understand. I just have to get this to inside the house. So let's do that. All right, while the Sanidate is finishing up, I wanted to show what we're going to be putting the garlic in order to do our fertilizer soak, which is the second step. Hold on. Sherlock decided he wanted to go in the bathroom, and I said no. So this is a standard 27-gallon tote with another tote below it. And so it's going to be the same principle as the bucket, where we're going to put the garlic in here. We're going to have the garlic soak overnight in this, and then we're going to plant tomorrow. And then after we plant tomorrow, we'll do the next batch of garlic and so on and so forth. The goal is to do 3 rows this weekend and then 3 rows next weekend. So I just wanted to show that before I filled it up with the garlic. Okay, so here's the first batch that's in the tote itself. Go ahead and close that. And then second batch is soaking. Third batch is ready. So I've already taken the clothes out and all this. So now, while I'm waiting, I'm going to start putting water in the tote. And so I can start counting how much water I'm actually going to need, so I know how much fertilizer to put actually in the tote. Okay, all the garlic has been sanitized and they're in the soaker tub right now. So I have 450 garlic in here, plus I have 12 gallons of water. And the fertilizer that we're using is called Bioactive. There we go. And it's a 2-part system where this is the liquid supercharger and this is called Liquid Life. And Andrea did research on this like a year or so ago, and pretty much what you do is you soak this. Well, you do the sterilizing first, just in case there's any surface nasties on the garlic, and then you stick it in this soaker solution to soak overnight,
Minimum 30 minutes.
or a minimum of 30 minutes. And so there's all the garlic right there. So that's going to be, oh yeah. And we're also supposed to add baking soda in this too, which we forgot. So we'll have to do that real quick. But that's pretty much what we're going to do. So this is going to sit overnight. And then tomorrow we'll take it out, transfer it to the yard cart, and then we'll plant this and start the next batch. So that's it for the pre-planting. And then tomorrow we get to actually plant garlic. Okay, today's the big day. Today's the day we get to start planting garlic. So we have had our garlic that we prepped yesterday. It's been soaking all night in the tub. And so I'm out here this morning, and so I put the drip tape lines down. I only want to put them down on this row that we're doing today because these drip tape lines are very malleable. And so we'll come out in a couple hours when we start actually doing the planting the garlic, and these will be like all over the place because especially with the sun out today, they will expand a lot. So I went ahead on both sides and made it a little longer than what it needs to be, and so we can be able to adjust it, because I am not actually going to be attaching this to the irrigation system until the springtime. But I want to have these lines up now for two reasons. One, after we plant the garlic, we're going to be putting mulch on, which will be our hay mulch. And so we need the drip lines down before we do that. And two is our drip lines. Like if you look right here, there's one right there. That's an emitter. And then 6 inches away is another emitter. Well, it just so happens that our emitter spacing is 6 inches and our garlic planting spaces is 6 inches. So once we get this down, we have the 3 lines right there. And so that's where the garlic will be planted, is in those 3 lines. And then now we have our emitter spacing telling us exactly where we need to put the garlic. So we did this when we planted last fall, and it worked out very well, because what we did the first year is we literally took a tape measure out and did it that way. But now with the drip tape, now we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The reason we did it the first year with the tape measure is at that time I didn't even know drip tape existed, at least in this format, and we didn't know if we were even going to need irrigation. And so about halfway through the season we realized that we needed irrigation, so it just became a tumbling mess. But all that's been taken care of, so I don't have to deal with it. So now this has been prepped. And the next step is actually starting to plant the garlic. Okay, here's the garlic fresh out of its garlic bath. And so now Andre and I are going to start transferring the garlic into those buckets over there. And then we're going to start planting. And so we have 3 rows that we're going to do. And they're going to go every 6 inches. And this should be about 1 full row, because I was basing the row off of 75 feet in length. And so when you That's basically 150 bulbs per section, and then there were 3 sections to each row. That's how I came up with the 450. So hopefully this does net out to be at least 75 feet and we'll be good. So let's do this and then we'll come back. Okay, first row is done. Where my gloves are right now is where we actually stopped. So Andre is getting a couple flags to put them, so in case we have any extra from another row or something, then we'll put them on the end of here. So ended up with a little bit extra, but I'm glad we had a little bit of extra, and so it'll be a little bit short. So my 450 is pretty well spot on. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to water and mulch, which I'm obviously not doing right at this very second, but we might water and mulch next week, because today is Friday. We're doing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then we're going to do next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the other 3 rows. So I think I might wait till the beginning of the week or sometime during the week and then mulch it then. We'll see. Although it is kind of windy right now, and I really don't want to be mulching when it's really windy, so I guess we'll see. So we might mulch today, or we might not. I guess we'll find out. Okay, it's Sunday now, and we have 3 rows planted. So it's the 3 rows with the drip tape. And so now what we're going to try to do is we're going to start cutting this thing open and see if we can get the hay out of it. There's 2 different ways to tie up a hay bale like this. One is with string like this, and the other one is with like a netting type material. This is obviously with the string. So what I'm thinking is I'll cut a couple of these to get it a little bit open, not cut the entire back off, then go from there. For the occasion, let me flip this around. Okay, I have a long sleeve t-shirt on. I absolutely detest long sleeve t-shirts. And well, here's Andrea, so better show from her. So we have long sleeve t-shirts on, we got gloves on, we got pants on, we got the hat because of the sun, and we have masks.
Shoot.
Well, I have masks, so Andrea will get Farmer's Lung and I will not. So the reason why we're doing all this is that this hay has been out in the hay field for several months to a year or so, and we don't know what's on the inside of this hay. So we want to protect ourselves as much as possible. And the good and the bad is we have a lot of wind today. We're having sustained winds, probably 8 to 10 miles an hour, with gusts probably 25 miles an hour or more. And if you can see it, the shade cloth is pretty much about destroyed on the greenhouse. Just a week or so ago, it was only ripped a little bit. Now it's ripped all the way across. So, yay. Spending a lot of money on shade cloths, and they don't last that long. So, that's a side note. So, anyway, gonna start doing this and see how we end up. Okay, it's been just over a week since the last video segment, and as you can tell, we've been a little busy. And short version is we have 2,764 elephant garlic and 50 elephant garlic corms in the ground right now. And so what I wanted to do is break out how we got everything. All right, rows 1 and 2 here. These two have been in the refrigerator at 40 degrees for 8 weeks before they got planted. Row 3 was in the refrigerator 6 weeks. Now, the refrigerator was set to 40 degrees for all of these. And so the internet is very good at not having a consensus on whether or not we have to chill the elephant garlic or not. So last year I chilled them at 45 degrees. This year I chilled them at 40 degrees. And then there's consensus that you don't need to chill them at all. So rows 1 and 2, 8 weeks. Row 3, 6 weeks. Row 4 and row 5 had been chilled for 7 weeks. Row 6 is our test row. Up here in the front, in between these two flag segments, that's where the corms are. But this entire row of row 6 was not chilled at all. And so this is our test row to see if we can get these to bulb out like the rest of these are going to get bulbed out, hopefully. And then if that's the case, if we can bulb these things out just as well, whether or not they're in the refrigerator or not, then we're not going to chill them in the future because that takes up a lot of room. And then row 7 here, these were chilled for 6 weeks, or between 6 and 7 weeks. And this is what I called our big garlic. All of these bulbs here were at least, the bulbs were 8 ounces. So the cloves from all of these came from bulbs that were at least 8 ounces. The biggest bulb I think we got this year was 10 ounces. And so the remainder of row 7, Andre is going to be planting carrots and beets. And then row 8 is what we're going to plant next weekend. That's going to be our Parisian Star and our Red Creole garlic. These are hardneck garlics, and those have to be chilled. And those will have been chilled for 6 weeks. And so these are more, instead of having these like 8 to 10 ounces per bulb, these are going to be more normal garlic size. So they'll be like 2 to 3 ounces, maybe a little larger because Andre got the jumbo Parisian. And then row 9 is going to be our onions when we plant those in February. Since I had the bed former on and everything, we just went ahead and did it now. But I did not put the drip tape on now because I'll do the drip tape when we go to actually plant. Now, I'm going to do a separate video on the hay because I found some very interesting results with the hay. Mainly, one of these big hay bales is a lot more volume than getting the smaller straw bales, the standard 2-string 50-pound bales. So, but I'm going to do a separate video on that, so I'm not going to ramble on too much about this. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was my drunk tilling here. I went back last week and I had to retill rows 6, 7, 8, and 9 because when I tilled them the previous week, it was still sort of wet back here. And the tractor was not having any of it, so they ended up not looking so good. And instead of trying to repair them, I just retilled them. And as you can see, going over these again and again and again, I ended up doing some drunk tilling. And as you can see, they're not exactly straight. So rows 6, 7, 8, and 9 Probably row 8 here is probably the worst one. And they are not straight. So today's been a very good day to be planting garlic. It's been in the 50s and cloudy all day. The sisters are enjoying it because they are out right now. I let them out a little early today because it was cloudy. And hopefully ML has not escaped on me. But as you can see, we got chickens all over the place over here. There's Special K. There's Celine Dion over on the other side of the greenhouse. Normally they stay around the coop area because it's still sunny out and they stay in the shade, but there's obviously no sun today. So I think that's about it. I wanted to make sure to document what we did to all the rows, so in case Andrea forgets to write it down or whatever, I can just go back to the video. It did get into the upper 30s a couple of nights ago. I think it got to 38. And so that is that. So there's the hay bales right there. I should say the one and a partial. And I need to grab this before that stays out here. So I think we're good. Oh. All right, a truck or something just blew its horn, and evidently the chickens did not like that, so everybody kind of scurried over there. So that's kind of funny. So, okay, so I think we're good. So, little more than 2,750 garlic planted. We're going to do a lot better job with the NPK than we did last year. There's a lot of, we put a lot of nitrogen fertilizer in the ground. We're okay on potassium, so when we go to fertilize them again in the early spring, we'll put potassium in with the fertilizer. And then phosphorus. This is old farmland, and at least around here, the phosphorus is off the charts. It's like excessively high, so I don't know if we'll ever have to put phosphorus into this ground. There's so much phosphorus in it. But the phosphorus is good for the roots. So, all right, I'm done yakking, and I'm going to put this up, and then I'll check on the sisters, and then I'll go in, and then it's supposed to be raining this week. So as soon as it stops raining, I'm going to take the hay bale thing back up, or take the tarp off the hay bales, and then I'll do the hay video. But I think it's been interesting working with a hay bale, a big round hay bale, instead of the smaller straw bales. So, all right, I think I'm done yakking.